I'm standing in my kitchen, coffee dripping from the counter, as a stray slice of sourdough clings to the chandelier, and my cousin Trevor's voice echoes through the room, "I think your house is haunted." The air is electric with tension, the scent of burnt toast hanging heavy over the chaos. It's a moment that will change everything, a moment that will make me wonder if I've made the biggest mistake of my life. But to understand how we got here, you need to know a little bit about my family, and my house. I own a large old house, the kind of place that people assume is a free vacation property just because of its size. And my cousin Trevor, well, he's the worst offender when it comes to taking advantage of my hospitality. Trevor doesn't visit people, he occupies them, and his stays are always long and exhausting. Last year, he reorganized my kitchen, deciding that my spices lacked a coherent strategy, and I'm still recovering from the trauma. So when he announced, without asking, that he would be staying with me for a week, I finally snapped. Not violently, but magically. A friend introduced me to a coven of white witches, very nice people, but terrible influence on my decision-making. After listening to my complaints for about an hour, one of them asked, "Have you considered making the guest wing mildly impossible?" And that's how this whole disaster began. The enchantments were supposed to be harmless, just enough weirdness to discourage overnight visitors. The blue room got altered gravity, the east bedroom got enchanted sock migration, the upstairs hallway became geographically uncertain, the breakfast room developed strong opinions about toast, and the sun room was filled with motivational houseplants. Nothing dangerous, just annoying. Trevor arrived on Friday afternoon, and the first warning sign came 20 minutes later when I heard screaming. I found him standing in the blue room, pointing at a lamp. "Why is that floating?" "It isn't. It absolutely is. The room's gravity is tilted." Apparently, this explanation only raised further questions. Things got worse during dinner, when one of the ferns complimented Trevor's posture, another suggested he pursue personal growth, and a cactus informed him that true confidence comes from within. Trevor spent 10 minutes trying to figure out where the voices were coming from, but the plants refused to cooperate. Saturday morning, he discovered all of his socks had moved. Not disappeared, but moved. Every sock had relocated to a different drawer, one somehow ended up in a decorative cabinet, and another appeared inside a teapot. Trevor accused me of pranking him, but I was actually relieved because the alternative explanation was that the enchantment had become significantly more creative overnight. Then came the hallway, dear God, the hallway. I don't know what happened, but the witches said it would become slightly longer. What they neglected to mention was that the hallway apparently interpreted that instruction as artistic guidance. Trevor went upstairs around noon, and at 12:10, he texted me asking where the guest room was. At 12:25, he asked why there were suddenly 14 doors. At 12:40, he asked if grandfather clocks were supposed to be talking. At 12:50, he sent me a photo of what appeared to be a room containing nothing but chairs. One of the chairs had a note on it. The note read, "Please don't sit on me, I'm processing some emotions." At 1:15, Trevor finally emerged, looking like a man who had crossed a desert. He had only been upstairs. That night, the blue room escalated. At approximately 2 a.m., I received a phone call. I answered, and Trevor shouted, "My bed is drifting." I listened carefully. In the background, I could hear furniture gently colliding with other furniture. Apparently, the room had increased its gravity variance while he slept. His nightstand had migrated to another corner, and a pillow was on the ceiling. I advised him to remain calm, but he informed me where I could put my advice. Sunday morning brought the event that truly ruined everything, the toast incident. I was making coffee when every enchanted appliance in the breakfast room activated simultaneously: toasters, warming drawers, things I didn't even know could produce toast, slices launched in every direction, one hit a chandelier, one landed in a vase, one somehow achieved enough velocity to clear the entire room. Trevor walked through the doorway at precisely the wrong moment and got hit in the forehead by sourdough. There was a long silence, then he slowly set down his coffee, looked around the room, looked at me, looked at a croissant that had somehow become airborne, and said, "I think your house is haunted." At that exact moment, a nearby orchid replied, "No, we're enchanted, please be accurate." Trevor left within the hour. Success, right? Wrong, Because now my entire family knows, Trevor has spent the past week telling everyone that I live inside what he calls a magical workplace safety violation. My aunt wants an exorcist, my uncle wants tickets, 3 cousins have asked if they can come see the talking plants, one wants to investigate the hallway, another wants to interview the emotional chair. Instead of discouraging visitors, I've accidentally turned my house into the family attraction of the year. This weekend, 6 relatives are coming over, one of them specifically wants to meet the toast room. The witches think this is hilarious. As I stand here, surrounded by the chaos of my own making, I'm left to wonder, was I the jerk for trying to use magic to keep my guests away, or was I just desperate to protect my sanity? Was it a clever solution, or a recipe for disaster? The question lingers, as the clock ticks on, and the house waits, enchantments at the ready, for the next group of visitors to arrive, and I'm left to ponder, what's next for this magical, maddening house of mine? Was I wrong to unleash this chaos on my family?
If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Drop your verdict in the comments below, subscribe for new stories every single day, and hit the notification bell so you never miss one.